Hey y'all, it's Asia B here and welcome back. So stay tuned for this look and we're gonna get into some juicy topics around spirituality, embodiment, manifestation, and so much more. Okay, so I've already applied some primer and moisturizer, and now I'm gonna go in with, I don't want to say it on camera because I know the makeup girlies be like, oh, you can't use that. Well, listen, I have very oily skin, very oily skin, and because I have very oily skin, I don't like the primers that are out there for oily skin because it looks like I've dipped my face in a bucket of grease. So I'm gonna just apply a little bit. Don't look at my brush, y'all, because I'll just dip and go. So the last time I posted was on my birthday. I had such an amazing time. It was so much fun. It was something different that I did for myself, and I really just, you know, I wanted to be alone for my birthday. I'm just like that. I don't know why. I'm an introvert. That's a fun fact. I'm an introvert. But if people met me outside of, like, it seems like because I get on camera that I'm not introverted or anything like that. But I am very introverted, and yeah, I just like being alone. And plus I grew up an only child. Yes, I'm the only child, so and it's so crazy because I've heard people say, like, I could tell you're an only child, and I'm like, excuse me? Well, I'm not the only child. I'm the only child on my mom's side, and I have a brother on my dad's side. So, but I was the only child for like for 13 years on my dad's side. Yesterday I was in a manifestation coach group, and it was so much fun just learning from other people, hearing their experiences with manifesting. One thing I love to do is study the teachings of Neville Goddard. It's just so much fun because how he taught manifestation was just absolutely brilliant, and I learned so much each day. Especially how he talked about, because if you study Neville Goddard, you know that he teaches the law of assumption. And also, you know that he breaks down the Bible in a way where he talks about manifestation and how all of the stories are actually the people in the Bible are actually you and your journey of life, and knowing who you are, knowing your power as a creator as infinite consciousness. And when you start tapping into that power and knowing that power, is just like a game changer. Total game changer. And I've been studying his teachings for about a few years now, and I'm actually just now really grasping the concept of, how can I put it? I'm just really now grasping the concept of knowing who I am on an eternal level. And that is just, I just love to talk about it. I love to talk about it. I love having conversations with people who know this power and who are on the journey of just constant transformation, constantly recreating themselves. It's so much fun. So I just use some Juvia's palettes. I love to mix my foundations, but I use some Juvia's palettes with Hourglass foundation. I love full coverage. So when you start understanding your power, or when you start tapping in to that power, is like, once you realize you are constantly creating your life, you are constantly manifesting, it's like, it's a game changer. I don't know how else to put it. Here's the thing. When you find yourself just going through the motions of life, or something is not going your way, circumstances are just like not it right now, you can always change. You can always change it. You can always change the narrative and the story. And that's what a lot of people on TikTok are talking about right now, is being delusional. I love the fact that the girls are talking about it, because it's like, yeah, it's a lifestyle. And I've always been that way. It's so like, I've always been that way ever since I was a child. And you know, children are master manifestors, because they are in the realm of imagination. They aren't somewhere like reasoning everything. It's just like, they love to play. They love to play pretend. And they love to tell you, like, I'm gonna be this when I grow up. I'm gonna have this when I grow up. And you know, adults may think it's silly. It's like, no, learn from them, listen to them. And that's what we were talking about in the coaching call, is like listening to children, being childlike, not making things a big deal. You know, when I was in high school, yes, when I was in high school, I knew I wanted to be a makeup artist. And it's so crazy, because I seen all my peers like signing up for college and different stuff like that, and I was like, I don't want to go to college. School was like really never for me anyway. I was an artist, okay? I wasn't academic, if that's the right word. I wasn't an academic type of person. I was always artist. And you know what's funny? I was journaling about this morning. I was like, I am so like all over the place. I'm very all over the place type of person. Very whimsical. I would say I could be grounded, but also I am all over the place. And I don't want to put no label on it, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I have ADHD. I have ADD. Like, no. I'm just all over the place. I'm not like linear or, and maybe that's because I'm a woman. Especially when you're embodying feminine energy, which is playful, which is also whimsical, which is, you know, mysterious, magnetic. I remember, see how I got off the subject. I can remember being in high school and I would see like my peers. Oh yeah, I was saying that I was never academic. I was always I heard something fall. I was always that type of person where I was just artsy, just highly creative, you know. I enjoy beauty, art, music, food. I just enjoy pleasure. I enjoy living a life of pleasure. So I was never that type of person where, and maybe that wasn't a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, I don't know. But I was never that type of person where it's like, I have to make an A. I have to make, no, I was never that type of person. Just always like, I just knew I didn't want to do school. So I can remember like because I made the decision that I wanted to be a makeup artist. I think I was in like, it was my sophomore year of high school. Because I made that decision, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing makeup. And I started practicing on other people, and then I started charging. I can remember charging $25 for a full face. And don't try this if you were in high school watching this. But I used to skip class to do makeup. I used to skip class to do makeup, and I can remember at one point like senior pictures, graduation pictures, different stuff like that. People would book me and I would do it inside like the locker room and different stuff like that, and people would pay me, and I was like, ooh, I like this, right? I would come home with a bunch of money. Well, it wasn't a bunch of money, but when I was younger, I'm like, oh, this is money, right? And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do, right? And of course I had people tell me like, oh no, you don't want to do that, you can't make money doing that, you know. And I would just be like, oh well, I'm still gonna do it, like nobody's gonna stop me. You can't stop me. That's how it was. Like, no, you can't stop me, hon. Like, you need to get a trade, you need to. I'm like, no, I'm determined to make this happen. And guess what? Ended up living out my dreams. And now it's time for me to move on to something different. Ended up living out my dreams. And guess what? It's time for me to move on to something new. And I feel like that's how life should be anyway. I don't feel like people should stay in like one career all of their life unless you really just like it. But I know for me, like I said, I'm all over the place, so I like doing different things. I feel like a lot of people label themselves a lot of things these days, as far as like mental health wise, and I'm not trying to do it, because here's the thing, a lot of people will make that a hindrance for them and be like, oh no, I can't do that because, and it's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna like use that as some crutch or excuse as to why I can't do something. And I've done that before, and it's like, if I know who I am on an infinite level, if I know who I am on an infinite level, I'm not about to like box myself in from a human perspective. You know, I get that I'm human, but at the same time, it's like, no, I know the truth of who I am. So why not allow myself to expand and stretch? And it's so funny because I was reading an article on Google yesterday about, I Googled how to stop being so intense, right? How to stop being so intense, how to stop being so emotionally intense. I seen someone's TikTok and I was like, oh shit, I can relate. Like, they were talking about friends and how they enjoy connecting with other people so much that sometimes it can be a bit intense for other people, and it make people not want to be around you and different stuff like that. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I looked it up, how to stop being so intense, and I was like, you know what, I can be an intense person. By the way, I ask questions and different stuff like that, which I'm stepping away from. I'm just a curious person. I would say I'm a very curious person, but also I'm learning how to just, everything doesn't have to be so damn spiritual all the time. Everything does not have to be so damn spiritual. Like, everything does not have to be spiritual, because I've been down that path too. Like, oh no, I only have to hang around spiritual people and people that I never told myself that I have to hang around vegans or anything like that. But yeah, I would just be like, I can't. But again, also, here's the thing too, there are some people I just cannot, I could be around them like every once in a while. We're gonna say every once in a while. But talking to someone all the time who's, I want to say, not on my level, but talking to people who aren't expansive, we're gonna say expansive, who aren't constantly expanding themselves, it's a no. You know what we're gonna say? There are people that enjoy being victims and, you know, complaining about their past. They enjoy complaining about their jobs. They enjoy complaining about their relationships. Those are people that I just cannot be around all the time, because they're actually draining to be around. And I just like being around people who are expansive, who are always speaking about infinite ways they are growing, and, you know, new things that they're trying out, whether that's new ways of, you know, regulating themselves, hobbies. I like those type of people. And sometimes, like, when you're on this path, you'll come across people who you're like, oh my god, I really want you to know the truth, but I can't do that, because I'm gonna drain myself trying to show you or tell you how to do something, right? That is why I've learned to accept that there are people who are gonna relate to the message that I have, and I don't have to try to convert other people. Like I'm a Jehovah's Witness or something. I don't have to try to convert other people to knowing the truth, and you know, saying, hey, you can create your reality, you don't have to settle, you know, different things like that. Some people just enjoy being in certain states, and hey, it is what it is. Do you, boo. I support you. But what I'm not doing is, I'm not gonna sit around and listen to it every time. I'm not gonna, unless, no, not even unless. Not even unless. I was gonna say something, but never mind. It's important to, and that's the thing, like I was just, okay. I'd be so excited. But here's the thing, I was just speaking about this not too long ago. I think it was on Friday. This past Friday, where I was telling my, well, I know someone that was complaining, and I was like, oh my God. After I got off the phone with them, I felt extremely drained. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna imagine that I'm just gonna send, like, imagine that their life is well and okay. You know what I'm saying? But it made me want to look within myself and show that part of myself who have done that, who enjoyed complaining and being a victim and talking about what I'm going through and my problems and the traumatic things that I've experienced and being misunderstood, like all of those things. It made me have like compassion for that part of myself. And I was like, yo, like I used to be that person, and I used to, it's so funny how, it's just so funny how who we are, what we are, we attract. Whether you want to believe it or not. Who we are, I mean what we are, we attract. And meaning the stories that we tell ourselves, the narratives that we hold on to, our beliefs, you know, who we think we are, reflects back to us in the outside world, in this physical world. Okay, so when I realized, I was like, you know what, oh my God, like I used to be that person, and I used to surround myself with those type of people, because people who weren't in that state of consciousness where they were a victim and they talked about their problems and they made all types of excuses, I couldn't relate to them. And so because of that, because I couldn't relate to those people, I would be like, I don't like them, right? I would rather just hang out with someone that was always complaining, that was a victim, somewhere feeling like the world does them wrong, and you know, other people need to change and different things like that. I was like, oh my God, that's who I used to be. And I just started having compassion for myself and forgiving that part of myself. Okay, and I no longer have those people, those type of people in my life. I don't. I'm no longer that person. So I don't allow myself to complain about anything anymore. And if something is not going my way, of course I'll have a moment, but I'll remember, like, you know what? Circumstances don't matter. Circumstances do not matter. And everything will be okay. I'm going to imagine something else. I'm going to focus my awareness on something else. And guess what? Things just work out. Things just work out for me. That's so interesting. I never really just looked inside of my life like that before, but I no longer attract those type of people. It's like I attract people who are constantly doing the inner work, who are consistent with doing the inner work and discovering new things about themselves. And that's the thing, right? I was having a conversation with a friend of mine not too long ago, and it was this post on Instagram that I seen. I can't remember exactly what it said, but it's this guy named Llewellyn Vaughan-Lee. He talks about relationships and union and the divine masculine and feminine, and he was like, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, it was something where awakened women, the awakened feminine, she basically challenges the masculine to step up. She doesn't do it like forcefully, but she does it in like very subtle ways. And because of that, I think it's like some men will not like it, or something like that. Or she doesn't see people in her life as a victim. And I can remember reposting it, and a friend of mine, like, she said something about it, and we were talking about it, just not seeing other people as victims. And I was like, yo, listen, I was just like 2 weeks prior to that, I was like, yeah, I was on Twitter tweeting about it, and I was talking about how people who attach themselves to narcissists, people who attach themselves to narcissists, because I used to be that girl too. Hold on, I gotta get focused with this. Who attach themselves to narcissists see themselves as victims. And, you know, a lot of people do not talk about it, because when you see a lot of content out here with the narcissist and the narcissist, people don't talk about the person on the other side, because it looks like the person on the other side is a victim, right? But that's not true. They both see themselves as victim, and the other person on the other side of the spectrum is the codependent, right? And so I was talking about, you know, if you attach yourself easily to narcissists, you see yourself as a victim. And that is because there's a few quotes in A Course in Miracles that I enjoy, but they love to talk about how salvation is your only function here. And with salvation, I've came to recognize that salvation is taking responsibility for your life. Okay, and that quote kept coming up when I was like, I think it's from lesson 70 maybe, but that quote kept coming up in my awareness when I was tweeting about how, you know, I started noticing, because I have been here as well. When you attach yourself to like manipulators or people who just who are users, it's because you see yourself as a victim. And what I mean by that is you see yourself as someone who needs to be saved. Again, salvation is my only function. So what A Course in Miracles talks about is taking responsibility for your life. Okay? Making sure you do the work necessary every single day to come back into oneness. So with that, with codependent people seeing themselves as victims, it's like they feel like they need to be saved from something. They need to be saved from their shame and their anger and loneliness, right? And when you see yourself that way, it's like you also attach yourself to someone that almost does the same thing. They feel like they need to be saved, and that they need to save you in a way. It is so twisted, and it's like we eroticize that. And that's not healthy. It's almost like that. It's like this thing that be going around, this meme be going around, that be like, if you're a woman and you attract broken people, you're a healer. And that is so twisted to me. That is so disgustingly twisted. We all have the power to save ourselves, okay? Nothing outside of us is gonna save us. You know what's gonna save you? Bringing yourself back to that oneness, okay? And it's so crazy, like everything is just aligning with everything that I've been talking about for the past couple of weeks in my conversation with friends yesterday. This is why people tell you, when you have been a people pleaser, to focus on yourself, to focus on self-care, right? To bring you back to that oneness, okay? You bring yourself back to that oneness by, I know for me, I come back into that oneness when I'm doing things like this, when I'm talking on camera, when I'm doing my makeup, when I'm cooking, when I'm dancing. Oh, dancing especially. When I'm writing poetry, right? When I'm drawing, when I'm painting, when I'm reading, in meditation, when I'm allowing my imagination to run wild, that's when I feel like I'm at oneness. Okay, those are the things that bring me back into oneness. When I'm exercising, you know, different stuff like that. They call it self-care. Self-care is important. But I would say I'm doing things now, I would say, because I would call it self-care, but now I would say my duties to bring me back into oneness with God. Those are my duties. Those are my duties. Love that. Ooh, I like that. Those are my duties to bring me back into oneness with God. Okay, so those are really my non-negotiables. But it's a lifestyle for me. You know, when I go hiking, I love hiking. Bring me back into that oneness. But it's not something I have to try to do, right? It's just something that is a part of my lifestyle. This is why I love the book Women Who Run with the Wolves. Because the author encourages women to, I would say the wild woman archetype is being at one with your divinity. Period. The wild woman archetype is being at one with your divinity. The author talks about nourishing your creative life and how important it is. Because when we don't nourish our creative life, then we die inside. Our soul is just like starving for that. And that's the thing, like creativity brings you back into that oneness. So if you're not being creative, then again, yeah, your soul is dying. Your soul is like screaming out to be like creative, screaming out to you, because that is something that we are supposed to be doing, is just always being creative. It's just not limited to women, it's also with men as well. Like, we have to be creative. That's just like, it's a birthright. It's something that is just a part of us that we have to do as human beings. Lashes are extra freaking curly, so I have to place them under my lash line. Okay, so I put my lashes on off camera, as you can see. Now I'm gonna add some eyeliner on the bottom. This is one thing about me, I love eyeliner on the bottom. There's just something about it, like, just brings it out. And when people don't wear eyeliner at the bottom, I'm like, girl, put some eyeliner on the bottom. It brings out your look. See how that looks? It just brings something to the face. It adds some definition. Now I'm gonna go in with some black eyeshadow and smudge that out. Listen to the birds talking. It just brings so much beauty to my world. It just gives me a sense of calm. I love it. It brings me back into the oneness. Just relaxes me. So I'm gonna go in with some bronzer. I can remember when quarantine first started, and because I wasn't going anywhere, I would spend a lot of my time in nature. I would spend a lot of my time in nature, and I can just remember just stopping to look and enjoy the beauty of, like, seeing how Mother Nature just works. How, you know, when it's raining a lot, it's because, you know, it's supplying the nourishment for the trees to grow. And every day I would just go outside and I would see how nature was transforming before my eyes. So it was just beautiful watching everything grow and just seeing how I was just present AF. And I was just watching the birds, and it was just so much beauty. And that ever since then, it's like I allow myself to, that's the best part of my morning about waking up, is hearing the birds chirp. It's just so beautiful, right? And then I'll enjoy, I haven't really drunk coffee in a good while, but when I would drink my coffee or have some tea, it's just like, I allow myself to just enjoy the beauty. And that's the thing, that's I'm gonna make hella freaking content on that, around getting back into the body, because someone made a comment on my TikTok. It was like, she was a gorgeous woman, oh my god. She made a comment. She was like, I don't think the salute, I was telling the story about when I was at the symphony and I seen a couple in front of me, and how the woman was seducing her man, and I enjoyed seeing that. I was like, ooh, I've never seen a woman seduce someone in front of me before. I've just never seen it in real life, you know. And which is interesting that I've never seen that, but I enjoyed seeing her seduce him, and I enjoyed seeing how he responded to that. And I told the story on TikTok, and I got over like 12,000 views, and some woman commented on my TikTok and was like, she was like, it's so interesting, listening to people offer their think piece and human behavior. And I don't think the solution is to be feminine. It's to be yourself. Like, okay. I'm like, girl. I was thinking to myself, girl, listen, honey, that's what tapping into the divine feminine energy means, is getting back to your authentic self. And you can't get back to your authentic self living in your head. You just cannot do that. I tried it and it did not work. It didn't work at all. Zero, zip, zit, zilch, zit. I hope I say that right. It's impossible. It's so impossible. And that's the thing with spirituality that a lot of people don't realize. The fact that a lot of people think spirituality is just here, right? People think consciousness is just up here, but everything inside of you is consciousness. Your body is consciousness, okay? Nervous system, consciousness. Everything is consciousness around us. So people just think spirituality is something that you understand from here, but you understand it also on a body level. Like, I don't know how to explain it or express it, but once you start realizing the truth of who you are and start really learning more about embodiment, embodying different states of consciousness, you'll start to feel a shift inside of your body. Start to feel different feelings in your body that you've never felt before. You'll start listening from here instead of here, you know? So going back to that comment, I was just like, I made a TikTok and, you know, responding to the comment, I was just like, you know, embodying your divine feminine energy is about getting back to your authentic self and getting back into the body. I don't talk about how to ask a man for money or how to wear your hair and your makeup. That's like really, it's a small speck of literally a small speck of divine feminine energy. I was like, what I enjoy is teaching women how to get back into their bodies, because a lot of women are numb. I also was that woman where I was numb as hell, where to the point where I just could not enjoy life. I can remember and it's so interesting that my mentor, who is a man, taught me how to, he just sparked or ignited something within me to get back into my body. And I can remember when I first started, you know, investing into his programs, I can remember the first program I invested into, he talked about getting back into the body. But when I started working with him one-on-one, it was just like, it started to make sense. After that, I can remember we was in a coaching call, group coaching call. And he was like, you know, I was telling him something, I can't remember. He asked the questions on how do you do violence to your desires. And so I was trying to tell him, and he was like, do people ever tell you like you need to tell longer stories? And I was like, I know that I need to, but I don't do it. And people just never really told me that. So I just always refrained from telling stories to other people. And so we went on to listen to everyone else, and it came to me, I was like, oh, I don't tell stories because of the fear of intimacy. And he was like, so how do you know you're sharing intimacy with someone? And I was like, I don't know. He was like, you just did it. I was like, oh. I was like, oh, okay. And so basically it showed me that, or I recognized that intimacy shows up in an infinite amount of ways, but I shared myself into me I see. So when you allow people to see you, right, this is a form of intimacy. I'm allowing other people to see me. If I'm afraid of intimacy, I won't show up on camera. I will hide a lot, which is something I used to do as well. I will hide and not show people, or be open to people, show people who I am, which is so interesting, because earlier I talked about how I enjoy connecting, but there's the thing, I enjoy connecting in a sense, but I wouldn't allow people to connect with me. I will hold back my connection, but I'm like, I want to get to know you, okay? And that's like, ooh, this cap is tight, honey. It's almost like a form of fear of rejection in a way. And it's like also like being a people pleaser, because it's like I'll just get to know you. I don't want to show you too much of, there's nothing interesting about me, so I won't show you. And it's like, no, it's okay. It's okay to talk about yourself. I mean, because you got something within you. You have something within you that people like. You have some value, okay? You have some value within you that people want to just get to know, to see. After I realized that, I was like, you know what? I need to get back into my body. And it's so funny because that weekend before, I think, I had made my first solo trip to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I absolutely enjoyed it. And I allowed myself to be in my body, which I really didn't realize. But then I was like, you know what? After that call, I was like, you know what? And I told him, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start, my takeaway from this call is to start including myself in my life. And you know, that included being in my body. And so I did a nice ritual for myself that night, and I allowed myself to get back into my body, and I absolutely enjoyed it. I really did, and it was so much fun. And I pretty much just, I allowed myself to smell the scents in my body. I allowed myself to look at myself with desire and, compliment myself and enjoy, all, like when I was in the shower, I enjoyed the scents of my soap. I had like some lemongrass and peppermint, maybe eucalyptus soap. Then I lit candles all over my room. Then I lit some incense. I played some soft and sensual music. And I just looked at I put on my lingerie. And I looked at myself with like intense desire. Like, I like you. I want you. I like you. You're beautiful. You're gorgeous. You're sexy. Like, everything about you, I just like you. I like you, okay? And I just started practicing being in my body, and ever since then it's like it's a practice. But I would say I'm at the level where I'm mastering it, because I'm more in tune with my emotions and how I feel. So because of that, I know how to move into what I want. I know how to, how can I put it? More in tune with what I want to experience. I'm more in tune with what I need to do to take myself to the next level. So, hold on. Yes, get into this look. So, I'm more in tune with what I need to do to get back into my body. The other day, I was like, you know what? I was feeling a bit empty inside. And so I noticed when I feel empty inside, I would, you know, I would feel like something outside of me should cure it. So I noticed a pattern of mine where if I felt empty, I would look to, I would just scroll on social media until I was numb. Or I would feel like someone outside of me needed to give me that that sense of fulfillment. Whether that was food, that was people, whether that's getting on a dating app, right? But I no longer do that. But I also realized that, oh, okay, so that's what shows up when I'm feeling empty inside. So what do I need to do? And automatically I thought about it, and I was like, getting back into oneness, because I felt separated. And when we feel separated, we think something outside of us needs to change, or we need to get closer to someone, when really we're yearning for ourselves. We're yearning for our beloved. We're yearning for God. We're yearning for that divinity. Okay, and there's this book that talks a lot about it. It's called Love is a Fire. I cannot remember the author's name, but really good book. And he talks about the Sufi's journey, and just really the journey of our, you know, life, thinking that we are yearning for like more money, or a relationship, or sex, or something outside of ourselves, when really we're yearning for that oneness with God. And it's such a beautiful book. I absolutely love it. And yeah, what came to me when I was feeling that emptiness was to go into meditation, to go into that oneness. And it was just such a beautiful experience that I start feeling a sense of serenity, and the feeling came like in my chest, and a sense of warmth, and it felt so good. So yeah, I have so many more things to talk about here, but I have to go, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.